What's up, board game people? Can you feel that? The crisp tinge in the air? The smell of pumpkin everything selling at upcharges? The last vestiges of summer barely hanging on by a claw? Spooky season is finally here, and it's not disappointing. It's brought with it a bevy of strange, grotesque, and horrifying games and miniatures. Today we're going to take a look at one of the best themed games for this time of year. Today we dive into Deep Madness. I don't get any money from game creators from making my videos. I make them so we can all find the nightmare fuel we're so desperately seeking at this time of year. If I get something wrong or we disagree about anything, haunt me in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, may I be the first to introduce you to the Kadath Deep Sea Mining Facility. You peer through the viewport at a sprawling underworld metropolis as it crouches in the crags of the sea floor under a thick blanket of ethereal lights. You've always wondered what it would be like to visit Atlantis, but you never imagined it'd be so surreal. You are on board the submersible Enlightened Day on a docking course for Pad 1. The submersible hums along effortlessly, then suddenly shudders, twists, throwing everyone to the floor. Please take your seats, the captain commands as the hull begins to groan. Something is wrapped around the submersible and doesn't intend to let go. "Dock us, Captain," the first mate cries. "Dock us now or we're not going to make it. There's something on us." The hull screams again as a jet of water bursts through a seam. The hull visibly crumples inwards. You're all going to die in here. The submersible flies forward, plowing into the docking pad, spinning as metal is mangled and structure squeals. Something smacks your head and your world turns to darkness. Deep Madness is a sci-fi horror game that thrusts 1 to 6 players into the foreboding, atmospheric corridors of the Kadath Deep Sea Mining Facility. Players form a team of investigators braving the unknown to unravel the mysteries of the station. Why have communications gone dark? What are the miners doing down here? And why are the corporate executives so interested in what the station's crew have discovered? The truth could well drive the investigators to the brink of madness or beyond. As play progresses, your team of investigators will struggle to overcome the grueling crises and encounter nightmarish aberrations. Each session, you'll choose a chapter to play with its own special rules and objectives. Each completed chapter will take you 1 step closer to the truth and 1 step closer to the festering world of madness. Will you ever be able to escape? The world of Deep Madness has been expanded upon, and this campaign is no exception. This time they're presenting a reprint of most everything Deep Madness has to offer, and a new expansion. Deep Madness Reborn is an expansion bringing back the baddest and most terrible creatures the mining facility has to offer. The expansion contains 7 fan-created scenarios and 7 new larger sculpts of previous foes. You'll be reunited with the Spawn of the Sleeper, Tentacles, Drifter King, Devourer of Worlds, Penitent, Forsaken, Dimension Rift, Omega Ravenous, Insidious, and the Eggs. All miniatures included in this expansion are back and bigger than ever. The miniatures are bigger and the sculpts are brand new. Returning backers can also pick up an upgrade kit, including the revised rulebook, color-corrected and brightened tiles and punchboards, and revised versions of every card. Deep Madness takes thematic narrative to the next level. Every scenario serves as a chapter to a larger story. Every Madness card contains micro-stories. Investigators have backstories on consciousness and investigator cards. Every detail helps plunge you deeper into the madness of the Kadath facility. To date, there are 28 vastly different scenarios requiring different tactics and strategies to complete. Each scenario will present a new challenge you must adapt to. There are 26 different investigators to choose from, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. No player is insignificant and all must work together to survive. The game board changes as play progresses. Rooms are devoured by darkness. Rooms can be flooded and even lack oxygen. Monsters spawn randomly in devoured rooms. All the while, the investigators are racing against the madness that's pulling at the edge of their minds, threatening to trap them here forever. There's a ton of content to be had here. Let's take a look at those pledge levels. First, at $99, you can get the Madness Reborn pledge that includes just the Madness Reborn expansion. At $85, you get the Crawling Core pledge, giving you the Deep Madness Core box with a newly updated box cover. This is the updated edition requiring no update packs. For $124, you get the Returning to Madness Investigator pledge. This includes the Madness Reborn expansion and the upgrade kit for the original Investigator Pledge. Coming in at $135, you can get the Investigator Pledge. This includes the updated Deep Madness core, the Endless Nightmares expansion, and the Uncounted Horrors expansion. At $149, you get the Returning to Madness All-In Pledge. This gets you the Madness Reborn expansion and the upgrade kit for the original All-In Pledge. Next, we take a considerable leap to $329 to get you the Kadath Without Faces Pledge. This pledge includes the Deep Madness core game, Endless Nightmares, Uncounted Horrors, Rise of Dagon, the Oracle's Betrayal, the Ward Phillips Investigator Pack, and John Murdoch Investigator Pack, and the Madness Reborn expansion. At $359, you get the Kadath pledge that includes everything just listed and the Faces of the Sphere expansion. At $369, you can get the Gameplay All-In Without Faces pledge. This pledge includes the Deep Madness core, Endless Nightmares, Rise of Dagon, the Ward Phillips Investigator Pack, Oracle's Betrayal, the John Murdoch Investigator Pack, the Madness Reborn expansion, Devourer of Worlds Epic Monster Pack, Dimension Rift Epic Monster, Insidious Epic Monster, Penitent and Forsaken Epic Monsters, Drifter King Epic Monster, and the Omega Ravenous Epic Monster Pack. Finally, at $399, you get the Gameplay All-In. This includes everything just listed and the Faces of the Sphere expansion. That's a lot of pledges, but it's also a lot of content. You can mix and match and get exactly what you want or need in the add-on section. For $30, you can get the Investigator Pledge Upgrade Kit. This includes updated rulebooks, cards, tokens, map tiles, and more. Everything not plastic from the Investigator Pledge. Then at $60, you get the All-In Upgrade Pack. Again, this is everything but the plastic components from the All-In. At $20, you get the Art of Madness art book. For $25, you get the novel Shattered Seas, which comes with Lucas Kane Investigator and a unique scenario. At $30, you can pick up the Profundum storage box that will hold everything from all of the Deep Madness packs except the miniatures. Then for $50, you can get the Monstrum storage box. This will hold all the minis except those in the Madness Reborn expansion. $6 will get you the 3D Locked Hatches pack. $10 buys a dice pack. For $10 more, you get the Enlightened dice pack. And again at $10, you get the Fusion dice pack. Then comes the expansions. At $50, you get the Rise of Dagon expansion. For another $50, you get the Oracle's Betrayal expansion. For $35, you'll get the Faces of the Sphere expansion, which is a crossover expansion with Dawn of Madness. Devourer of Worlds Epic Monster will cost $18. The Spawn of the Sleeper Epic Monster runs $18 as well. Again at $18, you get the Penitent and Forsaken Epic Monster. $16 will get you the Insidious Epic Monster. $16 more will buy you the Drifter King Epic Monster. At $15, you get the Omega Ravenous Epic Monster. For $14, you get the Dimension Rift Epic Monster. $15 buys the Investigator Pledge Translation Pack. For $5, you can get the Madness Reborn Translation Pack. Then you can get the Rise of Dagon or Oracle's Betrayal expansion packs for $5 each. A quick reminder about the add-ons and pledge levels. If you want to get a closer look at what all is included, click the pledge level or the add-on picture on the project page, and it'll take you to a page showing off everything that's included. Warning, the all-in pictures are huge and they must be zoomed in on to actually see them. Stretch goals aren't listed as of yet on the page. There may be some coming though. The first update revealed a secret stretch goal for the funding of the project that gives every pledge level above Crawling Core a magnetic saw gun, which has previously only been Gen Con exclusive. Shipping for the project is subsidized. The cart shows expected shipping costs for many of the pledge levels. For the US, where I am and know shipping costs pretty well, the all-in shipping prices are very fair. Shipping this much content is going to be expensive, and I've received far less for far more shipping charges. They're doing everything they can to have VAT for the EU and UK included in the shipping cost, so barring any horrible circumstances, you should not have to pay VAT. Also note that if you're getting the Profundum or Monstrum storage boxes, they will raise your shipping costs by a bit. It's expensive to ship big boxes, even if they're pretty much empty. So let's get to my thoughts on this one. First off, there's a ton of content and miniatures here. There's simply no way for me to show off everything. The Investigator Pledge comes with 200 plus minis, and the Kadath and All-Ins have well over 300 miniatures. This is a game that you're going to want to do some research on for yourself. Be educated before making an all-in leap. I'm far from an expert on the game, but I've done research for myself, and I've decided it's absolutely something I want in my collection. This is one of those games that would be whipped out at a Halloween game night for sure. I absolutely love unapologetically adult, twisted, and visceral horror games. Deep Madness sets itself far apart from anything else I've seen. Instead of being similar to a Nemesis game where the focus is mainly on one trope, Deep Madness is a celebration of many forms of horror. I love how thematic everything is. It never breaks that, and it gives you very little room to breathe and break the suspension of disbelief. Writing that I've read has been excellent too. This is a game that you're going to do a fair bit of reading for. The cards contain rich narrative, and the scenarios have longish intros and outros, and even the characters all have different backstories to read. The narrative here is especially to my taste because it actually leaves quite a bit to the imagination. The scene is set up for you, but not solved. Your play through the game itself fills in those blanks quite well. There's an emergent story cradled in the individual scenarios. Each scenario also slowly peels back the layers of mystery of the Kadath mining facility. You are not given the answers up front. You have to earn them. And even as you're earning them, you're only earning pieces that leave you wanting more and aching for the next play session. One thing I think that they absolutely have nailed here is the components themselves help to truly tell the story. They never really cause a break in the immersion. I'm not just talking the minis here. The tokens, the cards, everything is so well themed that they just look like they belong in this universe. The map tiles are spectacular, especially now that they've updated them. I will admit that one thing that kept me from picking this up secondhand was how dark the map tiles were. Even with great lighting above your game table, you could really struggle to see the details on some of these tiles. They realized this issue and are attempting to correct it with the update packs. That's commendable. Sadly, one issue still remains with the tiles that's difficult to create a compromise solution for. When a room is devoured, you must flip those map tiles over. This means everything placed on that tile has to be moved to the side, the tile flipped, and then everything replaced like it was. This can quickly become a chore. This is one of the main gripes I've read over and over about. Some people make a token representing the tile being devoured and don't flip them, but this really does a disservice to the game. The devoured tiles possess a look and feel to them that lets you know and experience that that section of the map is dangerous and should be avoided. The art is fantastic, and not flipping the tiles for me just isn't an option. I know this will come up, so let's get it out there. If you don't like minis, or you don't like having tons of minis for a board game, this just isn't going to be for you. Personally, I think standees would ruin this game for me. I'm not always like that, but with the level of immersion and theme here, two-dimensional cardboard or acrylic monsters running around just doesn't have the impact of a pack of minions and a dominating 60-plus miniature behemoth bearing down on your team of investigators. So with all these minis, storage can become a huge problem, especially if you like painting. I'll likely never paint all these, but I can see myself painting some. I love that the big Monstrum storage box has foam instead of it being big stacks of plastic inserts that we see so often. I refuse to store painted miniatures in plastic inserts that are inevitably going to rub and wear on my paint job. I work hard for my mediocre paint jobs, and I appreciate that the foam will help protect them. Even the Profundum storage box is really nice. I don't often combine boxes for games, but this is just too good to pass up. Individually, the amount of boxes coming for an all-in is just overwhelming and a ton of wasted space. This allows those boxes to be thrown out and the collection to still look impressive and be kept well organized. I love it. The only downside is the increased shipping on the big boxes. The last thing that I'll point out is the first update. While you're reading up on the game, go check out that update. It has a listing of what all has changed with the update to the core and such. This will give you a solid idea if some of those complaints that you may have read about online have been addressed. For me, the lighting on the map tiles and cards combined with the reworking of the rulebook gives me confidence that the items that gave me pause in the first place are being addressed. Like I said before, do your own research and back with your head. There's a perfectly good entry point to this game at the Core or Investigator pledge. If you're unsure but want to try it out, start there. They'll give you a perfect taste of what the game has to offer. If you don't like heavy games with lots of minis, if you dislike games with deep narrative, or that drip feed you information throughout, this likely isn't going to be fun for you. If you can't take twisted horror, this will be nightmare fuel for you, and you best stay away. Personally, I'm all in on this one. If you're like me, then you're in for a ton of content that will keep you busy for quite some time. There are 28 or more scenarios that can basically be played in any order you want. There really isn't a fail-forward mechanism unless you want to house rule it, so finding the solution to the scenario might not be just a single session endeavor. I've also seen some amazing house rules for what happens when a character dies. In the game, if a character's dead, that player's done playing. But in this house rule I plan on implementing, that character is dead for the remainder of the entire playthrough. To mitigate that, you'll discover or rescue other characters along the way, that the player that is missing a character can pick up one and use. This is a game where characters are meant to die. It's dark, gritty horror, but making a player sit out for the rest of the session just isn't much fun. Get them back in the action in a way that doesn't break immersion, and keep trying. There are plenty of ways to fail a scenario, and death can come quickly enough. So, I could go on for much, much longer about Deep Madness, but I think I've given you enough of an idea of what the game is to start making a decision about whether it's for you or not. I'll leave you to your own research. We still have our month in review for September, and our weekly news and updates video coming later this week. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We're always trying to grow our little gaming community here, and trying to reach more people. Thanks to everyone watching and commenting. If you want to chat more about board games, hop in our Discord server, linked in the video description. Thanks again, have a great night, and play something terrifying.